That is right. You are in the EPL Rewind with the man President Chad, and I got Devin in the house with me and our third guest, the original gunner Tristan on the inside. Tristan, I see you eating. I hope you bring to share, bro. I don't know how you're
Mhm.
getting it through the internet, but you got to organize boys with food. You can't come and eat by yourself.
But today's my little brother birthday first to begin with. So I like to shout out happy birthday to him. He's 15 years old. He's autistic. When you see him, full of love. You would think twice and you'll wonder, this child really autistic, boy. So shout out to the Autistic Society at Trinidad and Tobago one time. I really love and appreciate the hard work majority of the parents and those who love children who get it in time. Yeah,
That
man.
is that is a very hardworking group of people. The Autistic
Mm-hmm.
Society of Trinidad and Tobago. Very, very hardworking people. Good afternoon to Martin, Philip, and Courtney on the inside early. So, as you know, with the EPL Rewind, we talk about everything that would have gone on through the weekend, throughout the Premier League, game week number 9. We're gonna be breaking it down. Um,
Yeah, Martin, I was very lucky where I was at. So because all the models up to the day before the storm had it coming very close to me. So luckily for me and everyone around me, it went south. So prayers are to those in the south where the hurricane did affect. But I definitely appreciate the nice words as well from you, Martin.
yes, indeed, yes, indeed, man. Good afternoon to Kes as well early in the comments. So, we are not going to be starting with the games on Saturday. We are actually going to be starting with, we're going to be talking about the Manchester Derby, the biggest game that took place on the weekend. And we're going to be getting into the rest after that. Nigel, nice to have you on the inside. So, we all know the deal. Manchester City demolished Manchester United 6-3. We had a hat trick from Erling Haaland, his third hat trick in a row at the Etihad. Man is just shattering every record in the Premier League, right? When you start to talk about people with 3 or more hat tricks, you have people like Cristiano Ronaldo on that list. You have Alan Shearer, you have Michael Owen. You have a lot of big name guys on that list, but all of them took like 20 something, 30 something, 40 something games,
Yeah, I think the next closest was like 40, 43 or 44 games.
right?
And he did
That's how
it.
long it took them to get 3 hat tricks. Erling Haaland, first season in the Premier League, has come and the man has done it in like 9 games. Like, yeah, well, all them records, forget that. This is what we're doing here now, right? Kess is saying Haaland is like a cheat code, and that's exactly what the man is. You know what I mean? That is what the man is. Um, I like this question here from Martin Phillip because
I have the hat right here. Everybody ask him where it's at. The way how it went was I wear it until we lose in the league. And so now I got to figure out what to do with it next, whether it gets like a spot on the shelf behind, wait for next season for his luck to come back out. I got to figure that out now.
yeah, for anybody who don't know, Devin has been wearing that hat for like about 3 or 4 weeks now. We were on a run. United in the league were winning, and well, we lost. We lost to City, so the hat is off for now. But all right. So, oh yes, we also have to mention Phil Foden because he also got a hat trick. Can't talk about Manchester Derby and not talk about Phil Foden. So the first question I wanna talk to you guys about that game is really the man Erling Haaland. Is this guy a machine? I hear people talking jokingly, that maybe we need to check him for roids or something because the man seemed to be unreal. I mean,
You
we
know,
all watch football.
it's
We've all been watching football for decades here, right? Tell me,
it's
have you
absolutely
ever
insane.
seen anything like this? Ever?
And this is like, and I can't believe I'm going to say this so soon because I did not think I would say this. He is the closest thing to Brazilian Ronaldo that we're going to get because especially if you look at their stats from the the same time period, I think right now Haaland is actually like in his first 100 games or something like that. I think Haaland actually has more goals than him. So like this is absolutely ridiculous. It's a shame though that he's not going to be able to appear at the World Cup because I feel like him not having that World Cup success might actually tarnish his legacy. But in terms of him, what he's doing for club, it is absolutely insane right now. Like I saw this one thing going around the internet, which is kind of funny, where it's like FIFA needs to find a way to allow each team for one match gets to call in Holland for 30 minutes. He comes in and like at least once per World Cup because like you only get one time during the World Cup and you can bring him in. But it is like the thing that I'm more upset about is Ole told United about him even before he went to Dortmund. And of course, United didn't act out on it, and we just paid for that big time on the weekend. But yeah, the man is unbelievable. He's in incredible form. Anybody who's doubting him, I saw some clip about some Chelsea fan on some show before saying that he was overrated and whatnot. Yeah, that he needs to put out an apology video for that. So
I would before I come to Tristan, I just want to say this. You mentioned his legacy probably, and imagine me talking legacy, and the guy is like 21 years old. But might be tarnished because of I'm not playing on a dominant World Cup team. And let's be real, as great as Zlatan is, if Zlatan with the same records, same goal scoring record that he would have had for club and country was simply playing for, let's say, Germany, right? Zlatan would certainly be in the conversation for one of the greatest footballers ever. But because of the fact that he's playing in Sweden, they never won anything. They don't reach deep in competitions. And it does tarnish, your legacy. So regardless of what he does on the stage at club, barring him literally putting that team on his back and doing something crazy, we really wouldn't. He may never end up being in that conversation like the Pelés and the Maradonas of the world.
and
But
he could have played for England as well too because he was born in England.
huh,
Yeah,
who knows?
imagine that.
I know it's tough to change your nationality as an adult, but who knows?
Yeah,
Who
I
knows?
I think I think the rule is once you have two or three senior appearances for your country, that's it. You can't change anymore. But if you were like under 21s or something like that, then yes, you could do it if you didn't have senior appearances. But I think he's stuck with Norway now.
Well, what can we say? Man can have everything. So talk to me, Tristan. Is Holland a human being? Is he a machine? What do you think about this guy?
I would say Haaland is a Zlatan Ronaldo type SK player because how he talks to the fans and the media, they love him. It's so Zlatan like. And his football feel, how he's on the football team, but like on football, he's like the prime Ronaldo with his Zlatan. Like you're playing PS3, when Zlatan used to be in AC Milan and he's 89 and he put a ball, yeah, that's press goal. Any angle. That man scoring goals like his PS3 and PS5 right now. That third goal you already see from him with the nice pass from De Bruyne. I only see goals like that scored on FIFA, Big man thing, I only see goals, but I will say it's difficult to stop him. And for the team that actually stop him, Liverpool did. Liverpool did. But that's for the 10 Cup now. You understand? They did. But at the end of the day, only he could stop himself because in that game, he tried his best and still, he tried too much. To me, he tried too much. And then you see what happened right now with Liverpool striker. He ain't really fired. So he celebrate winning one trophy and he in a drought. Now Haaland is like, oh, so now watch me no, watch what I could do in the league. That's basically it. I love it. I love it.
The English media love to stoke controversy every time Manchester United got a goal. They span the camera to show two people, Cristiano Ronaldo and
And
Sir
Harry
Alex
Maguire.
Ferguson. Well, Harry, yes, but Harry was injured. He wasn't playing anyway. right? He wasn't eligible to come on anyway. But and I would love to know what Cristiano Ronaldo thinks about Erling Haaland. Sitting down watching this, being in the Premier League while he is in, not like in another league, he in your league, and you watching him just demolish records, just demolish records that you yourself would have are part of. I mean, I would love to know his thoughts. Um, can anybody stop Manchester City right now, in your mind?
So the only way that Manchester City is stopped in the league right now is with if they start prioritizing Champions League, in my opinion. So I think that like they're gonna try and come out and try and wrap up the league as soon as possible. In my opinion, Arsenal's playing incredible right now. I know we'll talk about them later on in the show, but I don't really see them losing until they start prioritizing Champions League over anything else. Because that's the one trophy I think that's missing from Pep's collection at City anyway. So I think this will be one of their best chances to get it, especially with the additional Holland now. And so when that time comes, you're gonna want to start rotating the side and bringing in different people and whatnot. And with that being said, that kid Julian Alvarez. So even if they drop Holland, Alvarez is still a very good striker as well too. So I realistically that's the only chance that they have of being stopped in the league.
All right, Dr. Tristan, who you think?
I'll be
Big up your team. The man say Arsenal. Who you think could stop City
I
in
will
the
say
league,
this.
in the Premier League
I'm
right
not
now?
tooting my own horn. My team is playing some alright football, but what I will say is this: I agree with him 100%. Pep wants Champions League. I will say this: I pray to God and I thank God Arsenal don't have to face Manchester City until April and May next year. When Champions League is on the line, when quarterfinals and semi-finals play a major role. You understand? And he will have to choose and prioritize. When the Champions League will play Arsenal in these two games, home and away. Right? And we know what Pep going to do. He won that Champions League more than anything else. So I pray to God he prioritizes the Champions League, but we does underestimate small teams too, the fight, especially for relegation. Size that you think, yeah, Bournemouth. Bournemouth now
Now
get 9
we
from
we
Liverpool.
we I am one person. Don't do that. We
Yeah.
have seen that as people who watch Premier League football. We know that more likely than not, at least I know, the teams that are going to take points off City, to me, are going to be the lesser teams. The teams that, when men want to triple captain Haaland and they tell themselves, yeah, he's going to get a trick this game, and boom, City draw, City lost, and everybody wondering, like, how? Right? Them is the kind of teams. That is what the Premier League, that's why the Premier League is so exciting, because that happens in this league. I mean, anybody could beat anybody, and sometimes the teams you do expect to get licks from is the ones who just do you. So I mean, I don't expect City to break any records. I don't expect them to reach 100 points or anything crazy like that. I expect Haaland to break records, but we'll see how it goes. But let's just talk about the other games that were played on Sunday. So Manchester City demolished Manchester United 6-3 for Manchester United. There were goals from the new boy Anthony, a worldie from outside of the box, and 2 goals from Anthony Martial, a second half substitute. We had Leeds playing Aston Villa to a 0-0 draw. Very boring stuff from Leeds and Aston Villa. But the game week started on Saturday.
And Villa had 10 men. And no, Leeds had 10 men, mind you, for majority of the
Yes,
game.
for most of the game, correct. Right? But let's talk about the London derby that started the game week off on Saturday morning. So that game ended 3-1 in favor of Arsenal. Um, should I go through the details, or should we get, let me go through the details, and then we'll talk about the how we feel about the game itself. So Partey started the scoring with an absolute rocket from outside the box in the 20th minute. Then you had Harry Kane with a penalty. We went in at halftime 1-1. Gabriel Jesus on the scoring sheet again this game, second half, and then the man Xhaka with an assist from Martinelli. So a comprehensive win. I was a little surprised by Spurs defense because one of the things I look at with Antonio Conte's teams is normally they are defensively sound. They are strong defensive teams, and this was not. Because the truth be told, Arsenal could have scored more than three.
I think that the official with that red card kind of ruined that game because I still that I know people are gonna say that challenge is debatable and whatnot. I do not think it was a straight red challenge. Now, if it was a second yellow sending off, I would have no arguments against that. But I did not think that that was a straight red. Lloris pretty much gifted that goal to Jesus, in my opinion. The first goal from Partey was just absolutely phenomenal. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And then obviously with a man down, then at that point, obviously Martinelli put a great cross in for Xhaka to finish on. So in my opinion, yes, Arsenal did what they had to do. People were questioning if they were the real deal after they got beat by United, and they stepped up, did what they had to do. The Spurs team right now, I actually was expecting a response from them today in Champions League, and they didn't do it. So it's like I truly was I thought they were going to win. So then you come out and say, yeah, Arsenal, that was a great response, but it just seems like Spurs are having a little bit of an implosion at this point. But you still have to give credit to Arsenal because they went out, they did what they had to do on the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Talk to me, Tristan. What were your thoughts on the game?
I would say the game was a very good game in terms of I was very optimistic to see party starts. Because I told you, remember I spoke to you and I told you my honest opinion. When you play you guys in Old Trafford, I say without party and without my midfield thing, I say if you leave with a draw, that's a victory for me. But I don't see us going there and win. Remember we had that conversation prior before. And then when I see Party start and I see Zinchenko, who was a doubt, because Party went and he could play for Brazil and he didn't play with Ghana team. I was a bit worried. But when I see him start and I realize he fight everybody playing for each other. Because Arsenal is no longer a Cesc Fabregas or Robin Van Persie esque team. We are a team. You could see that. Everybody fighting. Men who you surprised. The fans turn on Xhaka. Xhaka is leading by example. He's playing a new role, and everybody's actually listening to what the coaches say. And they can actually see that on the field. Right? In terms of Tottenham, I really don't like Tottenham. I will say the red card is debatable. But when you slow it down, it look horrible. You went for Gabi ankle though. You ain't went for ball because the ball quite so, and you tackling the man quite here. So I could see why they give him it. In some leagues they will give him it, but the Premier League, European cheating have been poor. So I can see why everybody will debate it. And I tell you straight up, as a Arsenal fan, when he get the red card, I was like, that gonna slow down the game, and I was like, I really care right now. Now it's Tottenham. Tottenham does cheat real people over the years. They play one type of football, cross it out from one end to the next end, counter attacking, and try to build on Richarlison speed, Son speed, and Kane speed. But when teams start to figure, yo, they'll punish you, and we take we chances and we punish them because what we did, we flood the midfield, lead three in the back, flood the midfield, and the players play for each other at the end of the day. Appreciate it.
Chad, you're muted right now. Chad, you're muted right now.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, just trying to make sure everybody don't hear the dog in the background. Um, yeah. So let me read some comments, and then I wanna touch on something that Tristan said there. So Kes and Nigel is agreeing to this that Arsenal is flying high since they get rid of the sideshow Aubameyang. according to certain people on social media, Abamahu. And, and he's saying that something that Ronaldo should have done, United should have done with Ronaldo. Courtney is saying, I'm not sure Conte is the man for Spurs. I don't know which team Conte is good for. To me, Conte was perfect for a team like Chelsea, a very pragmatic team that plays out to the back first, more lockdown, more defense. That is the Conte style of team, But who am I and who are we, right? These guys getting big money, so let's see. I
Remember
expect,
also, Chad, Conte get our photo coach Juventus.
Martin Phillip is saying Arsenal would be a serious threat to win the league when they win this weekend. Good afternoon to the man, Dane Parkinson. And this is exactly Martin Phillips' comment is the question that I'm coming to ask now. At the beginning of the season, we all saw the memes with the elephant on the tree in reference to Arsenal, right? Arsenal is like an elephant on a tree. Nobody knows how they get there, but everybody knows they're going to come down. Arsenal have played now 2 of the traditional big 6. They lost to Manchester United, but they beat Spurs. And I think a lot of people expected Spurs and still expect Spurs to be a serious contender for that top 4 position this season. So the question must be asked. Arsenal the real deal? Arsenal a real threat? Or do we still consider them a flash in the pan? Talk to me, Devin. What are your thoughts on Arsenal as a threat to winning the league?
A threat to win the league? No. City is going to win the league. I do believe that they are putting in a very good case to finish top 4. But I do not
case to finish top 4. You mean
But
them 9 games in, You mean them top 9 games in.
Yes, they are on top. There's no taking that away right now. But and I hate to say this, I cannot see any team right now stopping Man City. The only team that can stop Man City is Man City, or Pep overthinking because he's prioritizing another competition. So I think it's City's to lose, regardless of what the table says. Remember, they have not played City yet, so potentially, even if the results stay the same as they are right now, and City wins those games, they're out 5 points on Arsenal anyway.
All right. Fair enough. I mean, it's also talk to me, Tristan, Mr. Gunner. Talk to me. Do you think
I'm a modest Arsenal fan.
We're not about modesty. Do you believe that your team is the real deal?
I believe my team have what it takes to finish in the top 4. That's our goal. How far we go within the top 4 is the sky's the limit. I know Atata is a type of guy, he'll be pushing and motivating them. Not only to go for the top 4, he will not mention that they would want to go and win the title. Because we know the media have a way of ridiculing us. We are the elephant on top of the tree, as you rightfully say. And he's doing the right job. I listened to Arsene speak about him over the weekend. And he said he's doing a good job. He know what to do. He learn a lot from him. And he said they have the capabilities to do such. Having the youngest team in the league, in addition to having the thinnest squad in the league, meaning we only registered 23 players, right? Compared to 29 over, you understand? He actually bringing in the players that he wants to play, and the players are buying into the system. So hopefully in January they add towards that, and we do end up in the situation we end up in last year January. Whereas he was crying out for a striker and they all be cheap and get rid of Aubameyang. But at the end of the day, the Aubameyang fiasco kind of like pay off now. We have Jesus in front there, who's actually finding a rhythm in terms of he loves striking a game. Hopefully that motivates Brazil to go as far as possible in the World Cup when that time reaches. And everybody just having a smile on the face. Saliba having a smile on the face playing for France. So everybody's motivated, each for the country, and they're buying into the idea and the principle that Arteta is putting towards them. And that's what I'm grateful for.
So I just want to ask this one question before we go through some of the other scores on Saturday. Martin Phillip is saying that, once you all win on this weekend, and the next game you all play is Liverpool. Once you beat Liverpool, that would mean you would have beaten Spurs and you beat Liverpool. That definitely Arsenal have to be taken seriously. Would you go that far? Would you say that if you all beat Liverpool, you know that top four really is an afterthought? You have to start thinking title after this weekend.
I will say straight up, no. Top four is the main goal, and I will stick to that principle. If we
Until
can,
when? Until when, Tristan? I want until when? When December, in January? When would you say that
until I
if you
face
will
City,
be in a
bro.
strong position that you will say,
Until I
yes, we
face,
do this?
until I face City in April, and
Until you've played City, no problem. I could live with
until
that.
I face
I,
City
I
in
could live with
April,
that. You know, we need we could live with that. I think we could live with that. And you definitely. That's the same thing with you. When Arsenal plays City, you will decide at that point whether they're really title contenders or not.
So it is like I said before. I do not think they're title contenders. I think
So if
I
they
think
play City and they beat City, you wouldn't change your mind.
so. Here's like again, it's I still believe this is City's to lose. And so to me, unless City does something absolutely shocking, which I wouldn't put it past Pep when it comes to prioritizing Champions League, it's their title to lose, and everybody else is just fighting for the other places right now. So that's why I kept on saying I think Arsenal is a legitimate like contender to finish anywhere from second to fourth, but I do not see them winning the league.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, the nice thing about asking the questions is sometimes you could just decide you don't want to comment on the stuff, you know what I mean? So I would keep my thoughts on Arsenal to myself.
No, you asked us, you gotta go in and you gotta say it. I don't care if
Um,
you're host or not. You gotta say it.
I, 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 for me, Arsenal, if they beat Liverpool, have to be considered contenders, even at this juncture, even at game week, which will be game week 10, because the other people, Arsenal playing in Europa, right? Which is a lot less strenuous than playing in Champions League. It is strenuous, yes. You have to play the extra games in the middle of the week, but it is less strenuous than Champions League. And that is an advantage when you're playing against City, when you're competing against City and Liverpool, who are in Champions League, right? They are going to be playing the big guns, and especially, both of these teams have something to prove. Liverpool not doing well in the Premier League, so they need to get some kind of glory somewhere. So they're going to focus on Champions League. That is what has been elusive to Pep ever since leaving Barcelona. So he is going to be focused on the Champions League. And as long as that is the case, a team like Arsenal, as long as they keep getting W's, can position themselves to strike late. So as long you see, once it's all about what you do against your other rivals. If they could beat Liverpool, and this is a perfect time to play Liverpool because Liverpool is not playing very well. If they could beat Liverpool, I don't see any reason. I don't see any reason why they can't they can't win the league. Do I think is they going to win it? Obviously, learning look at City's performances, you would say, well, yeah, City is the team to beat, but that doesn't matter. Last year, City was the team to beat, and Liverpool came very close to pipping them at the finish. So a season is a long thing, and to me, once they win this weekend, we had to take Arsenal seriously. I, for
So
one, will not be posting any more memes with any elephants
so I have
after
a
this.
I have a question, and this one goes out to our Gunners fan Tristan down there. How good do you think your squad depth is? And this was another factor in me saying where I think it's City's title to lose, because you think about it this way right now. If Haaland goes down, you've got Alvarez. Chops to go about this. Nobody would even say that Akanji was City's main center back, and he put in an incredible performance on the weekend. So they have depth in every position. So I think that they can be covered for that as well. Would you be able to say the same thing about Arsenal?
that's what I told you. Top four is where it is the main goal. Despite you you guys kind of fancy down there. Yeah, this is the real deal. Top four is the main goal until January. January, like probably, as I say, they have to add more steel going forward. In midfield and in defense, Arsenal have players that can play 2-3 positions. You have Zinchenko who can play midfield. You have Zinchenko who can play left back. You have Tomiyasu who can play all the way to the back. You have Cedric who can play left back, right back. And they could also, and we have Ben White who's actually playing right back for us. And he's actually a centre back. He's playing out of position, right? He could also play centre defensive midfield, right? We need someone who could come in to assist in terms of where where Party falls short in terms of his fitness. Because I fit Thomas Party is a very very good midfielder, especially the number 6 position. So if we get somebody to come in, like someone ready made, like from Brazil, Palmeiras, I know we were looking at the Brazilian to come in last minute, he or Douglas Luiz, either one of them to come in. These are players who Arteta wants, and if the crown case follow the purse and support Arteta and get the players that he needs, well, by all means, I'm okay with such. We also need a winger for Saka. Reason being, if England go to the World Cup and they have a tournament like what happened previously, where Saka and Rashford and Sancho was recently abused, mentally, we're not sure what type of players we will be getting when they come back, right? We hardly have depth in terms of like City, and I'll always say, as my great coach always say, it's City who wants to lose. Everyone knows that. I never say that we're going to win the league or anything like that. I just say we want to challenge for top 4 and finish
No,
with
no,
top
no.
4.
You have been very modest. You've been very modest, and you know. But as I said, to me, one of the things I always believe in is W's are W's, you know. W's are W. Wins are wins. And once you get that 3 point, nobody don't take it off the board. And once it's there. So as long as if you beat Liverpool, I am going to be speaking about Arsenal as genuine contenders. That's just me, because based on the points, I had to talk about what I see in front of me. You understand what I'm saying? So let's run through some of the other games that played on Saturday. We had another boring game between Bournemouth and Brentford. That was another 0-0 draw. Crystal Palace losing to Chelsea, a very hard-fought game for Crystal Palace.
You think about that, they're ex-Lonians. There's something in that game.
That game was controversial. That's supposed to be a red card for Thiago Silva.
Yes,
There's no way in hell.
Yes.
In Germany, he was getting straight red. In Spain, he was getting roja. You understand? He was giving him red. There's no way. He put his hand out for the ball. He did it, and VAR seeing it and still give the man a yellow, boy. And you know what, man? He come on a Sabamiang, you know, boy. He had a deciding factor in every.
You know, VR keeps. You know when we know VR is working, when we do ever had to talk about VR, when we talking about football and we not every time we have to mention VR, it shows that VR just keeps falling short. You know, we thought after the couple weekends ago and the big meeting with all the referees that hopefully we wouldn't be having to talk about VR. Here we are again. You know, bad decisions. But what can I say? Chelsea find themselves a very lucky team. Chelsea and Liverpool living very charmed lives right now. They've had some very fortunate VAR calls, and both against Crystal Palace. If I was a Crystal Palace or Newcastle supporter right now, I'd be pissed, because it's like, what's going on? My club can't get a break or what? we just had to take points from us. You know, give us a good decision, huh? But
and the sad thing is, the referee does come and tell like we apologize.
That don't help. When he points on the board, that don't help.
The situation. That don't help the situation at all.
You know what I've been saying about VAR, and I'm being very adamant about this right now. We all watch cricket. We all watch when they go to the DRS system, how you can hear them speaking out exactly what their decision is. They're asking for the ball tracking system. They're asking for everything. They're asking for like making sure, okay, can we hear movement? Can we see this? I want you to stick with this decision. You hear it right there, and you can hear exactly why they make the decision. I want to hear that when the referee is talking to the VAR now. So you can come back and you can say, hey, I want you to take a look at this. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. I think it needs a better look at the monitor. And you have that conversation for everybody to hear out loud. That way there's no issue for controversy at all.
I expect them to be a clamor for that. I've been hearing it on social media, and I expect the clamor for that to increase. I really do. Because they just have to do something. At the very least, it may not improve the decisions, but it would really show the incompetence. You understand? If you could hear what the referee is saying and, hear the stuff we are telling the referees, I think it will make the incompetence even stand out more. And I think that's why they're not doing it.
Yeah.
If VR was doing well, they may have been
thing that you hear people talking about is you hear people saying that they want the refs to face the media after the game as well, so they can go over decisions. I am not as much a fan of that. I think the VAR and the discussion right there, you hear it right in the heat of the moment. That way, there's no interpretation for the ref to come back later and say, "Yeah, I thought this," or maybe I forgot a detail in there from this. No, it's right there on the spot. You have it right there. You know exactly the thoughts.
Maybe the ref report. Maybe the ref report. You could make some aspects of it public. Right, a summary of the refs report. Maybe the association could do that, but you don't want the refs coming out there taking criticism from the media, because you don't want the refs on the pitch thinking about answering questions. Right, leave that for players and managers. You don't want the refs on the pitch thinking, boy, they gotta ask me. You want the refs to do their job. You just want them to do a good job. You know what I mean?
But look in Australia. Australia is a prime example. You hear exactly what the ref say. I need you to come and take a look at this on the screen. It looked like it's a foul, but I will not make that decision. It's for you to make. Come on, I watch a game, Sydney, Adelaide, and I was like, wait now, did the future football? Everything's so clear, crystal clear. I say, yo, in the Premier League, they'll never do this. They will never do that.
Don't say never, the Premier League was the last one to adopt five subs.
Yeah, you think
for whatever reason the Premier League seems to be
online technology. We didn't think that was going to be there. Of course, but of course, after Frank Lampard had his goal disallowed against Germany in that World Cup, next thing you know, all of a sudden, we have it in the league.
The Premier League leads as far as marketing goes, but when it comes to technology and improving rule changes and stuff, they lag behind. Why, I don't know, but I think inevitably they'll get there. People, remember to like the video, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The United Hour. Of course, this is general content, but we also have a lot of Manchester United content, and that jersey, that signed Cristiano Ronaldo jersey that is in the back of Devin. If we hit 10,000 subscribers between now and the end of the season, we're going to be giving that away to one of our YouTube subscribers. So come on, help the channel grow, and let us give away a jersey. You don't need to be supporting Manchester United to want that on your wall. That is a keepsake for anybody who is into football. You understand what I'm saying? A signed Cristiano Ronaldo jersey, and trust me, the value of it is only going to go up when he retires. It ain't going to go down. So let's see who else played on Saturday. Well, let me just run through the scores. So Edward started the scoring for Crystal Palace, and then he had Aubameyang and Gallagher rounding off the scores. So Chelsea scraping a victory, albeit a little undeserved or fortunate. Let me just say undeserved, albeit very fortunate, right? Fulham Newcastle was a bit of a thriller. The man Mitrovic came off early in that game, injured, came off in the first half. So I know a lot of us, like people like me who had him in our fantasy team, was very disappointed with that. And then Fulham also had Chalobah sent off on a straight red card. So they played most of the game down to 10 men. You had Wilson, Almiron, and Longstaff all scoring in the first half. Almiron with a doubling up in the second half. And then at the end of the game, Reed scored for Fulham. So that was 4-1 in favor of Newcastle. Southampton, Everton. Everton has won 2-1, taking themselves, off of the bottom of the table. And West Ham as well.
Everton
Wolves.
looking good, no? Since this time back, guy from PSG, that midfield with what Frank have in the middle be, it's people might look at it in a kind of way. I'm glad we don't have to play them anytime soon till next year.
Yeah, we have them coming up.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about that in a little bit. West Ham played Wolverhampton Wanderers, and they got Wolverhampton Wanderers coach fired. And I deservedly so. Wolves have looked attractive. They have been defensively sound, but you cannot be a Premier League team and not get relegated if you don't score goals. And I think Wolves have only scored like 3 goals.
You see, that's
unacceptable.
People find out exactly how we used to play football, and it's the same tactics. He didn't change it at all. So he was being found out, so they had no choice but to get rid of him. But they have some nice candidates to replace him, though. Portuguese also.
Well, that's what Wolves do. That's what Wolves do, right? So let me touch some comments before we get in to the last major topic of the day. Brighton's new manager is similar to Potter, but he is more attacking. That is true. I was very impressed with Brighton, which who we're going to be talking about next. Is saying the most I think they would do. Was that Devin?
No, I wanted to talk about one more thing in particular before. I know this is our big topic, but I don't know if you all saw the Leicester game yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So based on James Maddison's performance, because of course he scored a brace yesterday. He scored a beautiful free kick on Dean Henderson as well. Do you think that he's putting a good claim in to get back into that England side, or do you just think that forward side was that bad?
The forward side was that bad, literally, but he is making a claim because there's no sense carrying an injured Liverpool skipper Henderson to the World Cup if you carry him just to be a cheerleader. He could come and be a cheerleader without having to be playing. That's my whole thing. If you love the clubs, if you love the country so much, you know definitely you're not 100% fit. Same thing with Maguire. If you love them so much, I think the coach needs to take his emotions from choosing this team and choose players based on form that you know definitely when it matters, they will give you 100%. Because choosing Maguire and choosing men like Henderson and them fellas is a two-edged sword. You will kill yourself.
So basically, you're saying do like what they did with David Beckham in 2010, like where he was basically brought in as like almost like a type of coach, but he wasn't on this side. He was kind of there to be like a mentor to some of the players. That's what you're saying.
For me, the answer is no, and I will tell you why I don't think, or I don't care, I don't expect to see Maddison go. You have a coach that, regardless of the attacking options he has available to him, and trust me, by the end of the season, Maddison will have good stats, Sancho will have good stats, Rashford will have good stats. But we have a coach that continues to play defensive football for England and doesn't play people who inform. He plays people, based on past performances and past tournaments and people he considers reliable. So Maddison could continue to play well. Even if he gets taken to the World Cup, do I expect Maddison to start? No. We all know England starts in 11, or no? From Pickford all the way to Harry Kane. If Harry Kane don't score a next goal from now to the World Cup, you think they're going to, and Tammy Abraham score 15? Do you think Tammy is going to start? No. Harry Kane is going to start. So once that is the attitude of the coach, what does it matter what Madison does? Now, if the coach attitude was different, if he was picking players based on form, by all means carry Madison to the World Cup. But clearly Southgate not doing that. So all I could say to Madison is try to make sure Leicester don't get relegated. That's what you gotta shoot for this season.
Hey guys, I have one small question to ask Ole. I don't know what is Ole take, but because it's Manchester United players, I want your honest opinion based on that analogy again. So you think Fred and Casemiro should go to the Brazilian World Cup? Should go with the Brazil squad to the World Cup, knowing that right now they just in the pitch, they coming on second half, but they didn't really making the starting 11 for Manchester United. You think they warrant a certain position based on their quickness?
Please.
I would have choose this fella from Newcastle, Gumarez, Bruno Gumarez, right? And the Brazilian from Palmeiras, who's
So-
actually speaking at him.
So
Who
to
has-
me, that it's two different managers. My personal take when it comes to picking players, I like players who are in form. But you also I will give you a perfect example. If you look at who is the top goal scorer in the World Cup, Klose. How often did he play horrible for his club? But when it came time for World Cup, you would see him step up and just turn into a goal scoring machine.
You see, for me, and I agree with that. For me, is you have two kind of form. You have form for club, and you have form for country. In the case of England, they went on a streak where 4 games they didn't score. So yeah, you're playing Harry Kane in front every game, but he ain't scoring. You're playing Harry Maguire in the back, and he making mistakes, and you're conceding goals. So you're not on form for club, some of the players on the English national team, and you're not in form for country. When you look at Brazil playing with Casemiro and Fred, clearly these guys are in form for their country. They're doing what is Brazil is on an unbeaten run. Brazil is the team going into the World Cup that is in form. So there's two different things. And now, let's be real. If somebody else, I can't see anybody else taking a claim for Casemiro's spot. I don't see, because Bruno from Newcastle is more box to box, more of an attack-minded player. So I can't see anybody taking Casemiro's spot. Fred may have some competition if he's not playing at the club level, but as long as Brazil is clicking as a team, as a national team with those players, there's no reason for them to get dropped. If Harry Maguire, Harry Kane, and the regular bunch that plays for England were clicking for England, you could at least say, well, all right, Southgate winning games, these guys playing, even though for the club they ain't looking too great, no problem. But you're not winning. You're carrying guys who are not in form, and they're not in form for country. So I don't really consider it the same thing. That is my take on it. And I mean, is the reason why, as hot as Martinelli is, and I like Martinelli, I don't really see Martinelli playing any games in the World Cup, because the fellas who playing for Brazil right now just hotter on the Brazil national team. They may not be hotter for the club.
You could make
but
that
on
same
the
argument
Brazil
for
national
Gabriel
team,
Jesus
they're
as well too.
performing.
For Jesus as well too, because he is on fire for Arsenal right now. But is he taking out anybody from the Brazilian side right now? Do you really think?
Look
Just to clarify certain information, Edu had a meeting with Titi and company just before the international break. And as an Arsenal fan, I respect what they do. They literally beg the Brazilian Federation not to call up none of their players to risk any injuries right now. Because as I say, our squad depth.
Yeah. Squad is thin.
But they are all going. We all know this.
No. These guys will go. Are we not questioning whether they will go? The question is how much minutes they may play. And based
This
on
is the
present
start
form.
in front of Richarlison. I'm positive.
Well, to be honest with you, I personally rate Jesus above Richarlison, but he looking real good for Spurs right now. He's one of Spurs' best players. And anyway, we have time between now and the World Cup. And we're also going to be having a lot of World Cup programming right here on the Rewind. We're going to be doing a World Cup Rewind. So even though when the Premier League shuts down, we're still going to have these shows going on and we're going to be still talking about football. We're going to leave that Liverpool game for last. So let's talk about the Leicester game which played yesterday. Let me just pull up the information here. So Leicester demolished Nottingham Forest 4-0. This was their first, I believe this is Leicester's first win of the season, not so, guys?
Yes.
Right. So we had Maddison opening the scoring, Barnes, Maddison again, and Daka closing it off. I think this is also the first time, or no, the second time they had a clean sheet, because Leicester has been horrible defensively. So they won a game and they kept a clean sheet. I want to ask you all a very simple question where Leicester is concerned. And is this a turnaround for Leicester, or they should really not be getting too excited because it was Nottingham Forest?
So that's very similar to the question I was asking about Maddison earlier. I think that Forest side is just all over the place. I think they have no chemistry at all. They signed 23 players in this summer transfer window to like 24, sorry. And they have absolutely no chemistry. It just seemed like whoever it was, like, oh, you played in the Premier League, okay, you could come in. You're an ex-player, you can come in. You didn't look into any stats. You didn't come up with any. You didn't give the manager like, okay, you want players who can fit this system. It seemed like it was just more like, oh, you have Premier League experience. You come in. And they were just bad. Like I thought that they were so disorganized. It's not even funny. If you remember from, this is going back, so my age here now. You remember QPR's last season in the Premier League, when they went and spent all that money and brought in all those players who did not fit together at all, ended up getting relegated, and they're still paying for that price now. That is what I fear.
Aston Villa, Fulham, and Norwich, they did the same thing, and they went down.
So that is what I fear is going to happen to Forest now, which kind of is disappointing because, I mean, I think right now, when was the last time that every single team that has won a European Cup that's English is playing in the top division?
It's been a while. So I as well, I was hoping Nottingham Forest would have stayed up, but right now it don't look too good.
I think they can change it around because that Nottingham Forest, they beat. You forget they beat side. They beat West Ham. I think they beat Everton at a point in time. They have wins. It's just that I thought over the international break, the coach seen that majority of the players are not international players. You gotta work with them, work with a system, try to create a level of chemistry. It don't work overnight, but it's 2 weeks. Everybody gotta know each other, block out the family, everybody get up, say kumbaya, try to understand everybody, try to integrate everyone, make sure they get up to speed. But they have a lot of fighters in that squad. When you look at it, this guy was banging in goals for Watford. I'm surprised that he even started him. I don't know why, but But one thing I must say with Cooper is sticking to his guns. The people who bring him up, he giving them a lot of chances, especially.
Well, and you see, this makes you wonder, what was the decision to bring in all of these players his decision, or was it the owner's decision?
Because the owner,
you go buying all of these players and then you're not playing them, then what was the sense? Right? What is the sense? But let's see. We'll keep our eye on Nottingham Forest. I think all of us would like them to at least stay up, to have all of the legacy clubs, in the Premier League.
If he's to be sacked,
would love that.
If he's to be sacked, I would say bring in Big Sam or Sean Dyche.
That is a death wish. Big Sam is your death wish. That's when you know you're going down, when you bring in Big Sam.
Big Sam or Sean Dyche. With the players they have in terms of physical football, or Potter, the players they have in terms of target man, everything, them is the players they need. And they will teach them about fight.
True. All right, guys, let's talk about the team that last season was being touted as the best team in Europe, Liverpool. Um, let's run through the details of the game first, and then we're gonna discuss the situation where Liverpool is concerned. So it was a 3-3 draw. Brighton scored the first 2 goals. The man Trossard with a hat trick in this game. Firmino having a double. Then they got an own goal. So in the second half, Liverpool went ahead in the 63rd minute, and Trossard ended the scoring. And to be honest, deservedly so. There was no reason for anybody who watched that game. There was no reason Brighton didn't deserve to get something out of that game. And if we're honest, Brighton deserved to win that game. They had the better chances, and Alisson is the only reason that Liverpool did not lose that game. You understand what I'm saying? So talk to me, guys. Straightforward question. Let me read this comment from Martin Phillip, and then you all will talk to me and tell me what is the problem with Liverpool, because clearly something is wrong with that club. So Liverpool do not have a problem. They are missing money. The high press from Liverpool is not as intense as before. So Trent and the guys in the back are having to defend more than before. Well, all right, then the problem is the missing money. Do you all agree?
So that comment saying couldn't agree more, Martin. That was for me. I thought I was going to show it myself. My mistake on that.
No worries, go ahead.
So I 100% agree with that. In addition to that, they have an aging and injury depleted midfield. It's the thing is, like, when you had money, it just shows like they gave the big contract to the wrong player. Because when you bring money in there, you have to deal with him. It leaves Salah with all that space to operate as need be as well too. I do think Luis Diaz is a player. I think he is a great player on that side. Nunez is not adapting the way that everybody was expecting him to. It's kind of weird, but it's like you see that Community Shield when it was like Nunez versus Haaland, and it goes round 1 to Nunez. I think right now it's an absolute knockout for Haaland going in return right now. I think teams have also realized Liverpool is vulnerable on the counterattack. So what Liverpool would play in the past is like they push up the pitch. They have their fullbacks, especially Alexander-Arnold, to play those long balls in and whatnot. You realize you cut that off. You cut off that midfield. You hit him on the counter. Alexander-Arnold, for as great as he can play a ball into the box, is not that good of a defender as need be, which is also why he's kept out of the England side. So you would think that when they brought in that one fellow on loan, I think it was Arthur Melo, I think his name was, and Klopp doesn't even really rate him right now. Thiago was supposed to be the savior, but Thiago, it looks like his age is catching up to him as well too. Henderson, he's on his last legs. He is a great captain. There's no taking that away. He lifted every trophy possible with Liverpool, so he will go down in history for that. But they need a rebuild, especially starting with that midfield.
I wanna just throw this out there before I go to Tristan. Liverpool has been doing the same thing ever since Klopp has gotten there, right? And I think it's ingenious, and he's the only person I'm seeing doing it in world football. Klopp plays 3 holding midfielders. Yeah, people will say Henderson is a boxer. Henderson is a holding midfielder. Right? Klopp plays 3 holding midfielders. And he adds width and he helps attacks with the wing backs, with your left back and your right back. Right? So his thing is, let's solidify the midfield, use that width. And when Mane was there, we all remember Firmino was more a midfielder than an attacker. Firmino was the guy who would have dropped back and added, that so-called number 10 role, that creativity, link the play, pass the ball. He would have dropped back into the midfield and make the late runs. He was never the number 9 that was up front holding the ball, right? So their attackers were really Salah and Mane. And Firmino with the late runs could come in, right? Similar to what we see going on with Harry Kane dropping into the midfield, becoming the number 10, passing the ball, and then sometimes ending up at the end of the play, right? Running forward, and the end of the play. And that was Liverpool's staple. That was what Liverpool was doing. They was beating everybody doing that. They were competing with Manchester City doing that. Those City Liverpool games 2-3 seasons ago were like better than the El Clasicos. I mean, those games were real good games to watch. That system was working. I don't know. Two things that I have noticed. One, Salah is either not covering, or whoever is supposed to help cover Trent is not doing it. Trent is also gotten worse as a defender. He's not tracking back. He's not keeping. He's losing his man too often. And we all know he was never a great defender to begin with. But when, at least stay with your man. You know what I mean? Stay with your man. Do the things you used to do. At least do that. And he's not doing that. So that is one problem. Secondly, Virgil van Dijk, ever since the injury, hasn't looked himself. The media still tries to hype Van Dijk as being one of the best defenders in the league. He is clearly not. And he has not been since he came back from his injury. It was a long-term injury, and he has just never hit those heights. So defensively, they are weaker. And offensively, Salah has been out of form ever since AFCON. Everybody hoped when you give him big money, he would have, be reinvigorated and whatever. Clearly, he seems to suffer from what a lot of players at Arsenal suffered from. They get a big contract and they form dip.
I was actually going to call it a bullying syndrome.
Yeah, Tristan, I know, knows a lot about that. And actually, some Chelsea as well. There are a lot of players at Chelsea that suffer with that too. They get a big contract and they form just dip. You try to understand, but what's going on here? That seems to be, and I just think Salah has just never recovered from AFCON. I don't think his contract have anything to do with it. So Salah is not scoring. The midfield, as you all say, and I said, and I think when you talk about aging, they are not helping the fullbacks. So when the fullbacks run up on the outer position, the midfield not doing their job, and they're just being exposed, and Van Dijk looking more like a ballerina than one of the best defenders in the world. So they're not scoring enough goals, and they're going to continue to concede goals with that defense, because nobody in that team is sitting Van Dijk down. Nobody in that team is sitting Alexander-Arnold down. So when you play Liverpool, you know you're playing a team with two weak links in the back to be exploited. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Tristan is licking his lips at whoever is going to be on that side running at Alexander-Arnold. So talk to me, Tristan. What do you think is wrong with Liverpool? That's my assessment. My assessment is that.
When I made a bold claim at the beginning of the season with you and Jesus, I said Liverpool would not make it in the top 6. Everybody laughed at me, a madman. I already said it before. They got rid of the wrong player. Salah is going through the Aubameyang syndrome. Alexander-Arnold, I think too much of press. Meaning, press, they kind of rate him up. The next thing after Beckham, it go into his head. He's not sure right now. He's like Bellerin. He's not sure if he wants a model. He's not sure if he's a right back. He's not sure he's a right winger. He's not sure what his position is on the pitch. Kudos to him. That's not my problem. The midfield. We know the midfield has been aging and the defense has been aging for a while. And we could clearly see, based on such, that it was going to be a problem. And we were also reminded that this is 7 years. And we know club rule about 7 years. Clubs that get
I was keeping that for last. But as you bring it up, I'm going to throw the question out there. Do you all believe that there is any truthfulness or seriousness to this 7-year curse where Klopp is concerned?
We are living.
I am curious if the Liverpool owners will back him now, knowing that. and knowing it starts with a January window, or will they say they did enough in bringing in Diaz and Nunes and say good luck? So that to me is going to be the difference maker between whether this 7-year thing is true or not.
I remember it specifically clear, loud and clear when I say, Liverpool get the wrong striker for their system. Everybody tell me no. I say Liverpool was supposed to go and bring the bank for Haaland. Because Haaland might have been the main man in terms of Salah would be like, okay, cool, let me just cross a ball in the box. Any angle, he would get goal. And in City system, you would have seen this guy. Any striker going to City system, they're licking the chops. Because they bread and butter.
Because you're going to get more chances. And more chances you get, you're going to score more.
And Alvarez is a typical player, just like what Liverpool bought. And I literally thought Liverpool was going and press the trigger, but City beat them ever. So Liverpool.
And the problem at this point, there are a lot of people that are going to be tempted to think, they need more strikers, but clearly they need to improve in the midfield because the wing backs getting caught out of position.
Well, they can't go midfield without defense. They can't go midfield without sorting out the defense.
Yeah, but let's be real. They're going to bring somebody to replace Anna or bring somebody to replace Van Dijk. That ain't happening.
Well, I'll bring somebody to at least accompany them or try to help them out. Somebody younger, that can push them. Because look at Robertson. Robertson, who could have been a better left back than Robertson in the league last season? Robertson is a shadow of himself. That's why they're bringing Tsimikas.
Clearly, he's been fighting injuries as well, huh?
Yeah. That's why they're bringing Tsimikas, and he's been exceptionally well.
I wanna shout out Carlton in the comments. Hope you're doing well, my brother. I want to touch this comment from Martin Phillip. He's saying that if Liverpool does make top four, that the Liverpool fans would want Klopp's head. Do you all think that this could be a make or break season for Klopp?
It goes along. I think he'll have 1 or 2 more seasons, realistically. If
he's done enough that even if he doesn't finish top four, they wouldn't fire him.
He's done enough now where, like, if they don't make it this season, he's going to expect to be backed to get the rebuild that he needs, especially starting with the midfield. I think the midfield is more of a priority for them than the center backs. And if he doesn't get it, that's where I'm curious if he's going to take the approach where it's you start criticizing the ownership in the midfield, or in the interviews, and you start saying, well, we need this. It's clearly obvious. These players are not here. These players here are not good enough. If not, yeah, he's got at least he's given himself enough of a chance now to at least have 1 more season if they don't get top 4 now. After that, then I could actually see some truth into that.
All right. So Tristan, they break the bank and did what they normally don't do, right? They spent $100 million and they bought a striker that I think we'd all be surprised if he give them 20 goals or 15 goals this season. Do you think they would break the bank again and go in for Jude Bellingham to help in our midfield?
The thing is, you had to ask this question: would Jude Bellingham want to go to a side that not with the Champions League football? That's the question we had to ask there.
Well, I'm not looking at it from Jude's side. I'm not looking at it from Bellingham's side. Right now, I'm looking at it from Liverpool's side. Would they be willing? Let's just say he wanted to come. Would they be willing to spend that million money again?
Liverpool has proven in the past that they will break the money. They will spend the money regardless of what, just to improve the team, and so the fans stay happy because they don't want what happened in Manchester happen in Liverpool. And I've heard Indy always tweet this. He said, FSG, Liverpool are bigger than FSG. FSG don't want to spend the money. Klopp has been begging for players. He's been reporting that for years. He's been saying Liverpool is getting too big for FSG. You can't buy 50 and 100 million one player every season. You have to buy like 2 or 3 to maintain the brand. Liverpool is supposed to be a big club. You win the Champions League.
But let's be real. You don't hear about them taking money out of the club like the Glazers. But really and truly, when you look at the revenue streams, Liverpool's revenue streams have increased greatly since they moved from New Balance to Nike.
Yeah.
So where's the money going? Clearly, the club is earning money. Is it all going into
They
wages and
also are
renewing
rebuilding. They're
contracts?
rebuilding the ground. So credit to them. I think a lot of money is going into that too.
Wow.
Okay, all right, fair enough. They're rebuilding the ground. All right, well, the money. At least we know where the money going, right? Because as Tristan says, and I totally agree. When you reach a certain level, you just had to spend money. The rules change when you get up to where the air is right. You can't come up to where the air is right and still try to pinch pennies.
Not Real Madrid.
Say that again, Tristan.
Not everybody is Real Madrid. You spend 100 million on Tuchel, then you get a club like Manchester to buy Casemiro for 70. Good business.
Well, James is really hopeful. He is saying, Bellingham to Liverpool. Um, and he's agreeing with us. I believe he's a Liverpool supporter. He's
I
saying
have
that
one more
Liverpool
thing.
need to buy players, need to buy midfielders specifically. Um, Gentlemen, let's take a look at the Premier League table and talk a little bit about what is going to come next week. So we have Arsenal on top with 21 points. Right behind them in 1 point is City. Spurs, Brighton having their best start ever to a Premier League season. Fourth, Chelsea, Manchester United, Newcastle, Fulham, Liverpool. Imagine that. 7 games in Liverpool and 9th. Brighton rounding off the top 10, the bottom 10, Everton, Leeds, Bournemouth doing well as a promoted team so far. Aston Villa, West Ham, Southampton, Crystal Palace. I think the table is really not been kind. VAR hasn't been kind to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace is definitely one of the better performing teams right now in terms of when you look at their performances. They just haven't been getting the results. So I don't expect Crystal Palace to stay down here for long. Wolves, let's see what the new coach is going to bring. Leicester and Nottingham Forest are in the relegation zone. There is one team that has not lost a game, and that is Manchester City. And there are 2 teams that haven't drawn any games, and that is Arsenal and Manchester United. So next weekend, the big games would be Arsenal Liverpool. Anybody bold enough to want to put forward a prediction for that game?
Arsenal will win.
All right. I know Martin Phillip in the comments expect that as well. What say you, Tristan?
Seems like he just left. He just left us on that one. But I think that Arsenal right now are licking their chops at this match. It's if I'm an Arsenal fan, I am thinking the prospect of Martinelli running at Alexander Arnold. I am licking my chops at that. So, and then you're thinking, okay,
James,
you would have Partey going through the midfield as well. I do not think that Liverpool right now has enough to stop Arsenal's attack. So I have to give it to Arsenal for this game.
Carlton is expecting a draw between Arsenal and Liverpool. James, any comments? I was not going to ask you for a prediction, James, so I'm glad that you did. James is saying Liverpool 4, Arsenal 1. Martin Phillip is saying Arsenal 3, Liverpool 2. So he's expecting a lot of goals. Both of these predictions have 5 goals, but are vastly different outcomes. Tristan, talk to me. What?
I don't know what to predict. I'm being honest, I don't know what to predict. But I'm an Arsenal fan. We're playing at home. I say we go at it from minute 1. We go at them, run them hard, win, lose, or draw. As long as we play together as a team and cohesively do what the coach asks, I see no problem. But from the minute you go against the plan, that is where problems is thinking. But we hope that we stay level-headed and go out there and just fight them as much as possible, run them off the back. because we playing at home. It's not like we playing in Anfield, right? And Anfield is a difficult atmosphere. We had the fans with us, supporting us, so the least we could do is, unite together.
Well, let's be real. Liverpool hasn't looked great at home.
Arsenal haven't won there since 2010.
All right, let's see what other big games we have. We have fourth place playing fifth place. Brighton taking on. Third place playing fourth place. Brighton taking on Spurs. What do you think about that game?
Spurs in, I'm going for Brighton win with the slum Spurs in. I watched Spurs play today, and Brighton manager, we are playing. Arsenal are playing Tuesday in the Europa League. His whole team, and they are very tough team to crack, literally. So he has a team with players that he loves. He inherit Potter strategy and he maintaining it. He can play 3 in the back, 5 in the back, 4 in the back. He's comfortable changing up his team to suit the opposition. And he's a very good replacement for Potter. I was hoping that Chelsea might probably, take him over probably in January. I really like to give people coaches and whatnot. But we'll see how things go. I'm supporting anybody against Spurs.
All right, fair enough. I expect that game to be a fight. I do. Brighton, Crystal Palace, and Newcastle, to me, are proven to be some of the hardest teams to play against right now. They playing them come like if you're playing one of the traditional top 6. Right now, those 3 teams, you're not getting an easy game. No matter who you are, you play them, you know you was in a fight. So I'm expecting Brighton to give Spurs a run. The last team I want to talk about in terms of prediction is Leicester. Leicester has finally got their first win. The next game is another newcomer to the league. Well, newly promoted team. Let me say the right thing. Another newly promoted team. Do you all think Leicester will get their second win against Bournemouth, or Solanke might have something to say about that?
Bournemouth defensively been good. I must give them praise after that 9-0 defeat to Liverpool. But I think they have enough firepower with body and them to beat that Bournemouth team.
Yeah, I think it will be a low-scoring game, but I do think Leicester can get a result in this game.
But all I had to say is if they had to get a result, they had to score more than 2 goals. Because Leicester ain't keeping no clean sheet again. That clean sheet against Nottingham Forest, forget that. That was an anomaly. Leicester is leaking like a sieve. And one of the things I'm sure about is Bournemouth is going to score. So Leicester had to score some goals if it is the one to win that game. You know what I mean? That's one thing I'm sure about. They ain't keeping our next clean sheet. Gentlemen, always a pleasure having you guys on. We went over time. We try to keep this program in an hour, but sometimes we just have a lot to talk about the Premier League. Nice with the football. Remember, keep staying tuned to this channel. We got a lot of nice stuff coming up. Like, subscribe if you're taking us in on YouTube. And even if you're not taking us in on YouTube, when you've come off of Facebook, check out the channel on YouTube, The United Hour. Click subscribe so you'll be eligible to win a signed Cristiano Ronaldo shirt at the end of the season once we hit our target as far as subscription goes. Enjoy the rest of your day, and the Premier League returns this Saturday, and I know we are looking forward to it. And when the games finish, look out for the rewind next week.
Support the United Hour. Click that like button and subscribe.